In general, now when we talk about birds and its photography in Telangana, uh, Sriram Reddy has been a signature for the birds and for its photography, for his photographs and all. He's a software engineer per profession and working for Hitachi Vantara. Uh, he usually say that bird watching is his passion, and currently he has been documenting birds in different states. He has visited around 19 states of India and recorded around 865 birds and photographed over 650 plus bird species. From Telangana state itself, he has documented around 390 birds and photographed around 320 plus birds. His work was portrayed in Telangana State Biodiversity Field Guide, Pakal Coffee Table, and Birds of Kagasnagar. On the other hand, his bird photographs are used in Merlin bird identification app, Birds of the World, and eBird websites. We wish you continue your passion and endeavor your love towards documenting and photographing birds in all the ecoregions. And over to Sriram Reddy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Chetan. That's a wonderful introduction for me. Okay, I think I'll quickly start because I don't know whether I'm going to complete in an hour. Sorry, people, if you get bored in this last 1.5 hour. Okay, next 1.5 hour. Sorry for that, but I'll try to entertain. Probably you'll at the end of the session. Probably you'll learn something, or at least you develop a passion towards bird watching or anything. So even though I talk about owls, it is actually it's one part of bird watching. So if one or two people from this group who is participating, if they just develop this interest in owls or birds of Telangana, that's my objective is to achieve that part. Okay, I think I'll get started. So today's session was about owls of Telangana. If you see this poster where these are all the 12 owls which I photographed in almost different parts of Telangana. So we'll discuss about each and every owl in this session. That's the main intent of that. So today's agenda was today we'll discuss about what is an owl actually. So we'll discuss how an owl is different from other birds or you can say the birds of prey. Okay, and also we'll discuss about the different characteristics of an owl. What are the different characteristics? Why it is such a wonderful birds of prey or nocturnal birds of prey. We'll see what are its characteristics which makes it a wonderful predator at night. And also there is an eye color theory about owls. We'll discuss about that today based on the eye color of each owl. We'll find out whether is how their habits and how their hunting habits differ. That we'll discuss. After that, we'll discuss about different owls of Telangana and their distribution across Telangana. We'll pick up each and every owl which is seen in Telangana, and we try to see their distribution, their habits, habitats, and everything. And last, we'll see about what are the different superstitions which exist in India regarding owls. That's a high-level agenda of what I'm going to do in this session. So what is an owl? So if you know, right, it's owls. You all know that it's a nocturnal birds of prey. But if you've seen, right, owls exhibit a number of adaptations which enable them to operate with great efficiency as nocturnal birds of prey. So there are, if you see, right, their vision, their hearing, their silent flight are well suited to hunt their prey in poor light. So some of the features we'll try to see what are the different characteristics which makes them an excellent predator, birds of prey at night. And if somebody has touched an owl, you'll understand that the owls are very soft plumage, even though they look big and everything. If somebody has touched or lifted an owl, you feel that they are very soft. Their tails are very short when compared with other birds. Their heads are very big with large eyes. Actually, if you've seen any owl, right, their eyes are actually very prominent when compared with other birds. Usually, almost all the owls have facial disc. If you have seen, and they have an ability of they can blink their upper eyelids, which gives them a human-like appearance. Okay, So if you see, right, there owls are actually divided into two families. One is the true owl family, which most of the owls which are seen in the world of come under true owl family. After that, there is a tight owl family. Tight owls are nothing else but the barn owls and the grass owls which are there. Guys, if at all you have, I mean, if you want to ask, you can just pause me and ask me a question, if at all anything, or because I'll slightly be faster in what I'm explaining now. Now, let's come back to characteristics of an owl. So, see, this is a typical structure of an owl, which looks, I mean, not all the owls look like that, but all the owls will have the same features, like a large and broad head. Okay, if you see the head, right, you'll have large head when compared with other birds. You'll see their head is actually very large and broad, and they have asymmetrical ears. Actually, asymmetrical ears means they're both the ears are slightly not placed at the same level. One is up and slightly upper than the other one, which actually makes them for better location of prey at night. Those asymmetrical position of eyes actually helps it for finding the prey at night. They have a monochromatic vision. It means that they cannot clearly see all the colors. So and their eyes are forward looking and binocular vision. If you have seen, right, their eyes are actually they can't see the things which are very near. So they actually have a binocular vision. They are far sighted. They can't see the left and right side of that. Whatever is there straight, they'll see. That is the reason, if they want to see something on the left or right, they actually turn their head completely. They can't move, see that part. So they have large forward eyes and binocular vision. That's one thing. And almost all owls have the facial disc. That facial disc is nothing else but, if you see that, this is a facial disc, almost human-like appearance. Okay. Every owl is short and hooked beak will be there, mostly because they're even though we say nocturnal birds of prey, their beak is actually shorter than when compared with other raptors, because actually the beak will not be an obstruction for the eyes for the sighting. Okay, they have silent feathers. You can say their feathers are so adapted that their flight is actually almost silent. You can't even hear them when an owl flies nearby you. Most of the time in the field, you'll never observe an owl. When an owl flies away, you cannot find out the owl has flown. Okay, so if you see in this is why it is, because if you compare feather of an eagle with an owl, you can see these spaces in between the feathers. That actually makes them, there is no friction between those things, which enables them to fly in very silent mode. Okay, they have very sharp talons and also zygodactyl feet. I think probably most of you guys might be knowing about zygodactyl feet. So zygodactyl feet are nothing else but 2 feet are forward and 2 feet are back. The one interesting feature about these feet of an owl is it can turn one toe, which is on the back side, to the forward. So that it can do whenever a need occurs for better grip, for walking down. Usually it turns one of its zygodactyl feet, the feet which is on the back side, it will turn to the forward. So it becomes 3 talons on the front. So it does that on purpose. When it is perching, usually you see 2 feet in front and 2 feet on the back. Whereas when it comes for walking and for catching prey, usually it uses the 3 feet in front and one feet on the back. So that's one of the interesting features of that. So most of the owls, whatever you see, right, they are actually nocturnal. Of course, there are a few owls which are active in the daytime also. We'll discuss about that. And almost all the owls, they always, their stance is always straight, not like other birds. If you see in the other birds, they'll actually bend slightly on the forward, whereas the owls, they always be straight. Okay, am I fast, or you guys can able to follow me? Let me know. If you want me to go slowly, I'll go slowly. So these are actually are boring stuff, but maybe it will be interesting for a few of you guys. So this is a video which I'm not going to play now. Probably you can, I'll share this video later, which actually whatever characteristics we discussed here, we said it flies silently, it has binocular vision, it has sharp talons. All that is shown in this beautiful video by National Geography. You can watch that. This is a great horned owl of USA, where we have a similar sibling for Telangana. We'll discuss about that owl, but this is an US owl where it hunts so silently at night. So you can watch this video to see the characteristics of an owl. Okay, I'll share the link later. So I said, right, all owls actually have different eye color. Some have black eyes, some have orange eyes, some have yellow eyes. So there is a theory, of course it is not scientifically proven, but it is true. 99% of the times it is true. So whatever owls which has dark eyes are actually nocturnal. Nocturnal means they are very active at night. Okay, in this case, if you see these three owls, right, this is a barn owl, this is a mottled owl, and this is a spot-bellied eagle owl. So these birds which has dark eyes actually are nocturnal. They are inactive in the daytime. They hunt at night. They don't. They're in most of the time in the daytime. They never come out unless disturbed. They always take a secluded place and they rest in the daytime. Okay. Whereas there are crepuscular owls which has an orange eyes. Orange eyes are the owls which are active in dawn and dusk periods. Okay, dawn and dusk periods. It means that early morning and also in the evening time, they are active during that period. So you can say this is an Indian eagle owl which has an orange eyes. So it actually gives, let's say that why this theory is important is, let's say that if you wanted to see an Indian eagle owl or let's say a mottled owl, so you know they are active at night. So you should plan in such a way that if you want to see those kind of birds, you should go in that period. Let's say Indian eagle owl, if you want to see them active, then you have to plan your visit in the morning, early morning, 5 and 7, between these 5 o'clock, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. You should plan that. So you should understand that part. Okay. And the last one is the diurnal owls, where their eyes are actually yellow in color. So these guys are actually they prefer hunting in the not entirely, but most of the owls they even hunt in the daytime also. So this, if you see, right, the brown hawk owl, dusky eagle owl, even brownfish owl, you can say this Jengil owlet and short-eared owl. This actually has yellow eyes. Okay, it means that these guys they hunt not only at night, they are even in the daytime also. So this is a list of owls which are seen in Telangana. We'll discuss about all these owls one after another: barn owl, scops owls, eagle owls, fish owls, wood owls, owlets. We have 2 owlets, hawk owls, and we have only 1 winter visitor. Rest all are residents of Telangana. All these owls are residents of Telangana. Only 1 winter visitor we have, which is short-eared owl. Okay, so winter visitor, I hope everybody knows about winter visitor. Winter visitors are the birds which visit only in winters. Okay, so rest all the owls are actually they're residents for Telangana, also India. So throughout the world there are 260 owls across the world. In India we have 34 owl species, where we have 4 Tito owls. Tauta owls we discussed, right? Tito owls are nothing else, barn owls, grass owls, all those are Tito owls. And we have 30 true owls in India. So in Telangana we have only 1 Tito owl, which is barn owl. Rest all are all true owls. So in the first slide, if you see, we divided owls into 2 forms, so all true owls and also Tito owls. So we have 1 Tito owl and 11 true owls for Telangana region. Okay, the same owls which are actually I put it in an ascending order, where this you can say the shortest, you can say the smallest owl for Telangana is Oriental scops owl. After that, the biggest owl is the spot-bellied eagle owl for Telangana region, only this part. Okay, guys. Any questions till now? Am I going fast? I think I'll slow it after some time.
I think that's fine. It's really interesting. So maybe that is the reason why everybody's listening very keenly.
Oh, okay, fine. So
Yeah.
fine. Next is this is a distribution of let's say owls of Telangana. It means that in which month they are actually active. As I said, right, 11 owls out of 12 owls, 11 are residents. So in that, if you observe, these are the thickness of this each dot. It means that the number of sightings which are reported in that month. If you look at this chart, I can say kind of a depiction where we are saying the spotted owlet is the most seen owlet in Telangana. Okay, this gives an interesting picture, and it was reported throughout the year. Next comes the barn owl. If you see, barn owl is also reported throughout the year, and also it is the most prominent bird which you can see. Jungle owlet is also seen throughout the year. Mottled owl is also seen throughout the year. Indian eagle owl is also seen throughout the year. All these are residents except the short-eared owl. If you see the short-eared owl will come to Telangana in the month of November end, and it will be here till March-April period. After that, it leaves to its summer grounds. Whereas ours is a winter ground for short-eared owl. So rest of the owls are residents, even though if you see brown hawk owl, even though it is not reported from this period, but it is a resident. This was seen recently. It was seen in the March month, July, June. So I hope some people. I think most of the people are from Osmania University. I think brown hawk owl is reported from Osmania University. Brown hawk owl, you can see brown hawk owl from Osmania University. Spotted owlet can also be seen from Osmania University. Barn owl is also reported from Osmania University, and Oriental scops owl. These 4 owls, as per my knowledge, they are reported from Osmania University. So probably one of you guys might have seen some owl from Osmania University. So these are some of the sightings which are reported. So this is very interesting because also interesting, and also it's very important for us to know the distribution of each owl, because you can't search an Indian short-eared owl in the summer times for us, because it is a winter visitor. So you should know. And also some owls are very active during one period. Let's say during their breeding season, they become very vocal. So right, most of the owls are silent, so you can't hear them most of the time unless you go to their perfect habitat. You can't hear them, but in their breeding time they become highly vocal. So that is when you can see their sightings increases. So even though they're resident, they'll report more in the winter period. Also in winter, most of the birders, they visit a lot. So that could also be one reason you don't see some of the birds in the summer period, because birders or photographers, they don't usually visit most of the places during summer period. But remember this point, 11 owls are resident for Telangana region, only one migratory bird, which is short-eared owl for us. So I'll not bore you with the topology of an owl. This is actually a topology is very important for other birds, because to ID a bird, I'm not referring to an owl. To ID any bird, you should know each and every part. You should know about subterminal band. You should know about supercilium. You should know about everything, because that's a differentiation. But when it comes to an owl, these features, because it's easy to identify an owl, so it may not be applicable. But for raptors, for other pipits and other stuff, topology of a bird is very important. But I'll not concentrate on this, because there are an owl can easily be differentiated from other owls easily. You don't need all these kind of features. But guys, this is very important for other birds. Okay. So let's come to the interesting thing. Let's say that how do we spot owls? Okay, or in the wild. Okay, so usually, I mean, we all are interested in owls, but we never see them. Okay, that's the fact. If somebody decided to see an owl, so they wanted to see owls, but they never see. Even we call barn owl as a city bird, but I think most of us might not have seen barn owl in any of the cities. Okay, or you can say spotted owlet. If you want to see spotted owlet, by accident you might have seen, but if you decide you wanted to see spotted owlet, if you wanted to see it, these things, some of the things you need to understand how to spot owls in the wild. Okay, so any owl if you want to find, so you should understand that species. If you want to see a spotted owlet or a jungle owlet, you should need to study that owl. You should study its habitat. This is very important. So in the series of owl species which I'm going to explain, I'll be concentrating more on the habitat. That is very important. Unless you don't know the habitat, it's very difficult to see an owl. Okay, so understanding the species and its habitat is the most important thing to spot any owl. Okay, learning owl calls. This is also very important stuff, because as I said, right, all the owls are nocturnal, so they are active at night. So you often hear them first before you see them. Okay, so that's a fact. So at night, if you go to wild or some place where there are owls, first you hear them. Okay, so that's when you should know. Once you understand owl calls, you can able to ID them. Then probably the next target is to see them. Seeing them at night is a difficult thing. At least you know this is a place where you see the owls. That's so understanding the calls is very important to spot them in the wild. So understanding their status in each season is also important. As I said, right, you should know when is the breeding season. Once you know the breeding season, let's say that dusky eagle breeding season is January, February time. So that's when you should go to that dusky eagle location, because they become highly vocal at that time, and it becomes easy for you to see those owls. So you should understand in each season, each status, how they behave, and based on that you have to plan your trips. Also, if somebody wants to see owl in the daytime, right, then it is more like you can say like a Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so you need to look for clues where exactly an owl could be. So one of the clues is look for pellets. Pellets are nothing else but the waste which owl usually throws out after is the digestion. It will just throw out. So whenever you go, let's say big trees or near the rocks, you should look for pellets. If you've seen some pellets like bone-like structures, feather-like structures, then probably that is the place where you can see them. Okay, but always remember, before you go to the place, owl might have left that place, and it will be seeing you from other location. So it's most of the time it happens, because before you see an owl will always see you first. Okay, I mean, if you go silently, then it's okay, but most of the time we are not silent in the field. Okay, so next is owls always generate a thick white secretion called whitewash, which is nothing else but the shit marks. Shit marks are actually a very nice clue to find owls in the daytime. So always look for, let's say, Indian eagle owl. Indian eagle owl always prefers rocky habitats. Okay, we'll discuss about Indian eagle owl later, but it's always in the rocky habitats like Gachibowli and other areas where Aminpur and all these places where you see those rocky habitats. Then the next target is to look for clues, which is nothing else but the shit marks, whitewash secretion, which is there. You look for that, and probably on top of that there might be an owl sitting sleeping in that period. So these are all kind of a clues where which can be used to find owls in the field. Okay, sometimes if you go to forest or some other place, right, so as I said, right, owl always flies away from that place, and most of the time when owl flies, you will never observe, it will never make any sound. So it is always be so silent that you will not see the owl flying. But there will be other birds which always indicate its presence. You always need to look for all the owls, right? All the other birds, which is the small birds. It could be bulbuls, or it could be drongos, or it could be tripais. All these other birds which are there near this owl, they always harass these owls when they fly in the daytime. So that's an indication. You should look for other birds' calls to find an owl. Okay, if you see a group of birds making calls near a tree, that's an indication that there could be an owl in that place. So you should always look for that. Okay, the other thing you should understand was in the daytime, owl always prefers a location where in the daytime it needs to have a good cover, and at the night time it needs to have a food. Okay, it needs to have a food in the night time, and daytime it needs to have a good cover. So owls always prefer those kind of places. So they always prefer where there are a lot of rodents, small mammals, even the insects. Okay, so that's the reason you see a lot of owls in the open fields, farm areas, garbage dumps, those kind of places where you usually see them you'll find them. Okay, so during the time, no matter how big is an owl, during the time they have an excellent camouflage technology. So you cannot see them in the daytime. So they hide themselves pretty well in the daytime. We will understand once we discuss about each and every owl. Any questions till now? Now we'll move to different owls. We'll try to pick up one owl and try to see where they can be seen. We'll discuss about each and every owl. No questions till now, right? Am I? Is it interesting till now at least?
No, I think it's good.
Okay then.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So the first owl we are going to discuss is the barn owl. Barn owl is one of the most frequently seen owl for Telangana, I can say. So its scientific name is Tyto alba. Tyto means an owl, and also alba is nothing else but the white color. You can say the white color owl. You can easily see why it was named as Tyto alba. So also it is called as hishing owl. Hishing, it always makes a hish call. Okay, when I play the call of a barn owl, probably you'll understand why it is called a hissing owl. Also, it is also called as screech owl, as if it makes a screeching effect. Okay, so barn owl always found virtually in all kinds of habitat. You can see them in wooden lands, scrublands, grasslands, forest lands. Usually they roost in tree hollows, also abundant barns, caves, wells. No matter where the buildings are which are left, you can say thick foliage. Okay, all barn owls are actually nocturnal. Usually they'll come only at the night time most of the time. That's the reason, even though they are frequently seen, I mean, most population wise they are good in numbers, but seeing them it's slightly difficult because they are only active at night time and the time where we actually sleep. Okay, so I think this is the one bird species which is widely distributed throughout the world, actually, you can say. So it's almost there in all continents except Antarctica, I think. Arctica and Antarctica, which is not there. Rest of the times it's always there. So what exactly it eats? Usually barn owl feeds on rats. You can say small rodents, mice. So that's the reason wherever there is a rats or mouse population, you see barn owls for sure. Okay, so one example I can say was any village outskirts, okay, where rat population, rodent population is there, barn owls are always there. So in the outskirts of Hyderabad, like Shamshabad or any other villages, everywhere where the population of rodents are there, you see them. So this is actually the cutest owl, I can say. His face is a heart-shaped face, very large head. You can see the head is actually larger than when compared with the other things. It has a very compressed beak. If you see in the beak, right, it's always pressed inside its head, actually. Its legs are actually sparse, the long legs, actually, if you see. And there is a peculiar feature of this. It has a pectinate middle claw. What is a pectinate middle claw? I'll show you in the next one, which is actually useful for it to clean its, you can say, feathers. Okay, this is the pectinate middle claw, which I'm showing. It is like, you can say, our hair brush, actually. Okay, so it is useful for it to clean its to clean all the lice which is there on the body. It tries to use this nail to clean its body. So if see, these are different pictures which are seen of barn owl. So this is from You can Vikarabad. This is from Vikarabad. This is from Pakal, and this is one of the city. So as I said, right, this can be seen in any habitat. So yeah, don't be surprised if you see an owl in a city. Most of the time, it is either a spotted owlet or it could be a barn owl. Okay, and also you can see in the forest. This is a toddy. Usually in this toddy palm trees, you'll see barn owls roosting in the daytime. Okay, so so when it comes to distribution, as I said, right, you can see it throughout the year. So almost throughout the year, you can see this barn owl. It's a resident for our region, and almost this is a map of Telangana. It's almost entire Telangana. You can see them. There is no specific place, but if you ask me a specific place, probably. Outskirts of Hyderabad, you can see barn owl, Shamshabad, all those places where you can see them. Pakal is one place where you can see them. Almost at night, if you drive in the outskirts, probably you will see them. In any villages, you will see them. Okay, let's hear the call of barn owl. Probably why we discussed, right? It is called hishing bird. Why it is called screeching call? Can you guys hear?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the call of a barn owl. Okay. So at night, if you hear this kind of a call near your homes also, sometimes at night, probably you might be hearing. This is a different one. Ignore this. This is the barn owl call. So this is the call. So as I said, right, call is very important to see any owl. So if you hear this kind of a call near your home or somewhere, so it's barn owl. Probably you should look for that bird to see. So you can easily see the barn owl at night because it is so white that it glows. Even though it is dark, you can see a white kind of a, you can say kind of a ghost which is flying. Easy to see that. But its flight is so silent that you cannot even hear. I think barn owl is one of the few owls where it doesn't make any call, okay, any noise when it flies. So so this is how I'll be presenting each and every owl species. We'll be discussing about habitat. We'll discuss about its habits. We'll discuss about its breeding season. So usually, I mean, I forgot to inform about the breeding season. Barn owl breeds usually from November to March, and sometimes it may breed twice in a year based on the food availability. So if the food availability is there, sometimes it breeds twice in a year. So so this is how the first screen will be discussing about the habitats and everything. Next, we'll see different photographs of that owl. And the last is the distribution. This is the flow for all the remaining 11 owls which are pending. Okay. Next, frequently seen owl is spotted owlet. Its scientific name is Athene Brahma. So Athene is goddess of wisdom in Greek mythology, and Brahma, I think we all know, it's our Hindu god. So it is named after, you can say, god and goddesses. Okay. So spotted owlet is one of the smallest owlet, but one of the smallest owlets, and widely seen owlet. Probably if in this group, some of you might have already seen spotted owlet. So spotted owlet is the most widely seen and very, you can say, even though for its small size, it is, you can say, highly vocal bird, you can say. And it is not afraid, you can say. It is not that shy bird. Okay. So owlets, right? We have two owlets for Telangana region. One is jungle owlet and the other one is spotted owlets. These two owlets, right? They don't have, they are tuftlets actually. They don't have tufts, ear tufts. They don't have, and they have a bright yellow eyes. If you see bright yellow eyes, and their facial disc is slightly smaller than. This is the facial disc which I am talking about. This facial disc is smaller than the other birds. Okay. So they are mostly diurnal owls, bold and highly vocal, as I said, right? They are very bold and highly vocal. They are active in the daytime and also in the dawn and dusk time. And they can be easily seen owl in Telangana. So their habitat is mostly open and semi-open country, including the city outskirts. You can say cultivation, all tree holes. You can see palm tree holes wherever you see, right? And also ruins. They avoid thick forest actually. In thick forest, it is actually replaced by jungle owlets actually. So they avoid thick forest, whereas in other kind of habitats, you can see spotted owlets. So as I said, right, they're active crepuscular and also diurnal owls. So most of the time they roost in the daytime in tree holes. Okay, mostly you see them in groups. Okay, so mostly in pairs or small groups you can see them. I think 5 to 6 owls can also be seen together. So identifying a spotted owlet is very easy. As I said, it is very small owl, and you can easily distinguish it from other owls. So it has a slim feathered toes. We discussed it, very small, you can say facial disc. Okay, so what exactly it eats? It usually eats beetles, moths, insects, lizards, mice, small birds. Usually sits on a perch and pounces on the prey to eat that prey. So usually, if you see in the probably when you travel early morning and the evening, probably you might be seeing them sitting on top of electric poles and other stuff, waiting to see what is moving below and try to attack that. Mostly, you see them near street lamps as a hunting basis because it sees what are the light insects which are around the street lights. They try to attack and try to catch and eat. That's how they behave. Okay, so as I said, right, most of the time this is inside a palm tree, abundant palm tree. You can see 3 of them together, and inside tree holes you can see them. See, here is a group of owls which are there. In city structures also you can see them. Wherever you see they find a safe place, they just hide themselves. This is like in a bridge, in the bridge hole. It is actually just taking roosting in that place. And also this is an abandoned building where it is actually looking curiously outside. So again, most frequently seen bird throughout the year. You can see that almost throughout the year, and extensively reported owlet, you can say, from Telangana region. Almost everywhere except the forest regions, almost everywhere it is reported. Okay, except the forest areas, it was not reported, whereas the rest of the places it was reported. And as I said, right, even though for its size, its call is actually very vocal call. Actually, you might have heard this call, probably may not have noticed. And its distribution is throughout India. You can say throughout the India subcontinent. You can see that. Probably a mixed distribution of barn owl. Barn owl, if you can see, right, it's almost there in all continents except Antarctica and others. So it is there in Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, US, American continents. Okay, so whereas spotted owlet, it is seen in all the subcontinent countries. Okay, so let's hear the call of spotted owlets. So chirr, chirr, chirr. You guys can hear the call, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one call. There is one more call also. So chirr, chirr, chirr. So that's the call. Okay. So as I said, right, calls are important, and only we have 12 owls. If you remember each and every call, so it's easy for you guys to spot owls. Let me go to the next owl which can be seen in Telangana. Next is jungle owlet. So jungle owlet also comes under owlet family. We discussed about spotted owlet. Jungle owlet looks almost similar to spotted owlet, but its habitat is completely different. So jungle owlet usually is seen in dense secondary deciduous forests, mostly in the stays in the forest areas. It avoids wet forests most of the time. So crepuscular and also diurnal, mostly very active. If somebody wants to see a jungle owlet, you should be in the forest by early morning. So around 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, if you are there, or in the evening. So they are very vocal birds. They continuously call during that period, and probably seeing them is slightly difficult, but once you get an experience, it's easy to see them, but you'll definitely hear them. So very vocal birds similar to jungle owlets. They are also very spotted owlets. They are also very vocal. So jungle owlets are very vocal, but you need to be in the forest to see this. These are not a city bird. So jungle owlet, as the name says, it's a forest. You'll see that in the forest only. So its scientific name means a little owl actually. So it is smaller than actually spotted owlet. Its scientific name means a little owlet. Okay. So it usually prefers grasshoppers, locusts, you can say large insects. It also eats lizards, mice, and small birds also, jungle owlet. So active in the early morning time. So if somebody wants to see, you should visit forest in the early morning time. Okay. So breeding sign is usually in the summer period, March to May. That's when they actually nest in tree hollows, abundant by you can say woodpeckers and barbet owls. So okay, remember this point. No, all the owls, they don't build their nest. They actually occupy others. You can say others' nests, or some spaces where they can actually lay the nets. They don't build any nests. Okay, abundant tree trunks, all those kind of stuff, or woodpecker holes, barbet holes. That's where most of the owls, they nest. Okay, these small owls. Whereas the bigger owls, they actually take out eagle places, and also big tree holes. Those kind of places they prefer. But all the owls, they don't build their nests. Okay. So these are see the how amazingly it camouflages in the forest. Okay, so if this owl is camouflaged with this barn, okay, so I mean you can see the trunk, right? When it is with the same thing, unless you know the call of the jungle owlet, it's slightly difficult to see them. Okay, so why I'm stressing on the call is, so call is the first thing which you'll be hearing. You may not be seeing the bird. Most of the owls, it's slightly difficult to see, but you will always hear most of the owls. So remember the call. Okay. So again, one more very you can say vocal call, and its distribution is throughout the year. You can see throughout the year. You can see that. Okay. So where are the places where you can see in Telangana? So Amrabad forest region is where you can see them. Pakal is one nice place for jungle owlets. Bejur forest, Tadwai regions are also very good. Gubbalamangama is one place, and also Kawal. Kawal is also excellent place for jungle owlets. So if somebody wants to see, these are the places you can see. So it is there throughout. You can say central to southern India, whereas in the northern India, you have its sibling called Asian barred jungle, barred jungle owlet, which is a different one. It's almost replacement of jungle owlet in the northern place. Okay, so as I said, right, its call, we'll hear the call. It's a very vocal call. It's like pro. Okay, this is one call, and there is one more call. Coo, 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 coo. So, as I said, right, very vocal bird. If you go to any forest, probably this will be a kind of a first call you'll be hearing in the morning time, early morning time. Okay, very vocal bird. In places like Kerala, right, probably all the houses in the forest, they'll hear, I mean, you'll see good number of jungle owlets everywhere in Kerala and Karnataka regions, in the forest regions. Okay. Next is we'll go to fish owls. Okay, fish owls. Before we discussed about owlets, now fish owls are we have. You can say here we discussed, right. We have one fish owl, brown fish owl. In the north, we have tawny fish owl, which we don't have distribution. Whereas for us, we have one fish owl, which is called brown fish owl. So fish owls are very large owls with yellow eyes, prominent yellow eyes, I can say. One of the biggest owls, you can say, in Telangana is brown fish owl. So they have a, you can say, distinct facial disc, okay, and their head is actually flat-headed, you can say, flat-headed with noticeable ear tufts. Their ear tufts are actually interesting to see. They have a very prominent ear tufts. Their flight feathers, if you see that, these flight feathers actually gives a feeling as if it is a fish. That's also one reason. Also, it hunts a lot fish. That is the reason if you see its tarsus, right? Tarsus are actually bare, because usually it hunts fish and fishes. So that's when that is a part which uses for hunting. That's the reason it doesn't have any unfeathered tarsus. You can see that. Okay, so it always prefers thick forest areas, also lowland areas. Also, it prefers wooded country regions. Also, you might be in the forest. If you see in a mango tree, probably in the mango groves, you might be seeing a brown fish owl. If somebody been to Anantagiri forest, that's one place where you usually see brown fish owl sitting on the tree since last 10 years, you can say. So since last 10 years, it is sitting on the same tree, roosting in the daytime. Okay, so it also prefers roadside canals and where it can sit, and nighttime it can actually hunt in the same canal. So it's a semi-diurnal, usually roosts in the large trees in the daytime, and comes out during sunset time. Okay, it becomes active, and also in the morning time, before it goes for its roosting place, you will be seeing it. Let's say around 6 o'clock. Sometimes you will be if you know its roosting place, it slowly goes to its roosting tree by climbing that tree, from moving from one branch to another branch. So what they hunt usually, brown fish owl feeds on fish, frogs, crabs, rodents, birds. Also, it eats reptiles, large beetles. So usually it sits on top of one overlooking perch over water and jumps onto the water to catch fish. That's how it hunts. So usually any tree which is beside water, it usually sits on that and looks for possible fish and try to hunt. That's how it does that. Okay, so breeding season is usually from November to March. Most of resident birds usually breed in this season, November to March. That's a thing. Mainly in the January, February time, it's, I think, out of all the owls, this is slightly the silent owl, I can say. So its call is also, even though for its size, its call is very feeble. You'll usually not see this bird calling. Okay, very rarely it calls, but during breeding season, you may end up seeing it call. Even that call, sometimes it is very low frequency. It doesn't. It's usually not recorded by mobile phones and other stuff. Okay, so this is from Anantagiri. Okay, this is from Anantagiri, where I was talking about the mango tree, where it usually sits in this tree throughout the year. And this is one of the camera traps in Kawal, where you can see the brownfish all pouncing onto water. This is a water body, probably either for taking for hunting, or it is maybe it is taking a bath in that place. And it's a juvenile brownfish all from, again, Kawal region. Okay, where exactly you can see brownfish all. So brownfish all distribution, again, this is also a resident bird. You can see throughout the year. Throughout the year, all the times it is a resident bird, so you'll see that. Okay, so Anantagiri forest is the best place for seeing this brownfish all. Amrabad region, Amrabad forest region is one place. Pakal, Bejur, Tadwai. Bejur, Pakal has a good population of brownfish all. Also, Bejur, even Kawal has also very good population of brownfish all. Okay, so distribution, again, throughout central to southern in India, you will see brownfish all. You have a replacement for this in North India called tawny fish all. Tawny fish all is one fish all you can see in northern India. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll play the call of brownfish all. It is, as I said, its call is very feeble. Hoo 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 hoo. Can you hear this call? It's very feeble, right? This is another call. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That kind of a call. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So I think, as I said, right, its call is very feeble. It becomes challenging to record if somebody was interested in recording the call. So recording a brownfish owl call is slightly challenging unless you have some very good recording devices which can record at low frequency. So next bird is mottled woodall. Mottled woodall is part of woodall family. You can say the subspecies of woodall family. This is one woodall. Probably there is another possibility of in Telangana, right? This is the only woodall which can be seen till now. The other possibility is brown woodall. Probably maybe soon probably we'll may be seeing. Till now there are no records of brown woodall from Telangana, but till now one woodall which is seen till now is mottled woodall. A beautiful owl, one of my favorites actually. Don't know the reason, but one of the reasons I like this owl. So these wood owls are actually medium to large owls. They don't have tufts, ear tufts. They don't have ear tufts, and their eyes are actually dark. You can say dark and large eyes. You can see this dark and large eyes. That's what you can see, and they have well-defined facial disc. Their facial disc is actually pretty well defined. Okay, you can see an X mark. If you see, right, it's as if an 8 symbol is there, or you can say X mark on. If you observe closely, it has an X facial pattern. Okay, so and they have feathered tarsus when compared with the brownfish owl, right? Brownfish owl doesn't have any feathers on its tarsus, whereas mottled woodall has completely feathers. Tarsus and toes are actually completely feathered. You can see it. You can see clearly. Okay, so so they actually feed on rats, mice, rodents. They also eat small birds. There is a record of eating domestic pigeon also, lizards, crabs. You can say beetles, large insects. All these are its food actually. So where exactly it will be seen? It's always seen in wooded plains, open woodland. Always actually a shy bird, even though it is seen outskirts of villages and in the forest areas. It's as we discussed in the eye color, right? It's dark eyes. That's the reason. Usually, it is always a completely nocturnal bird. In the daytime, it always roosts in a very hidden foliage. So it's very difficult to see bird in the daytime. But once you know its roosting place, it never changes its roosting place. Lives in that roosting place for years. So they always sit in the same roosting place for years. They don't. It's like their home actually. So they don't leave their home unless that home is completely disturbed or destroyed. So they live for years actually. Okay, and usually the breeding season is usually from February to March. So they nest in big tree hollows, natural tree hollows. They usually nest. Okay. So these are mottled doodles. If you can see, right, how excellently they are hidden themselves in the tall trees. As the mention, their name says, right, wood owls. So when they close their eyes, their feathers is almost like wood. If you see, right, if they close their eyes, they become part of that branch. That's how they camouflage. Excellently, they camouflage. This is photographed in Anantagiri forest. A couple of them are roosting in the daytime. This is also from. This is active in the early morning time. So usually in the morning, so if somebody wants to see owls, best time is always in the morning. 6 o'clock is the time before they go for roosting. They're slightly active. They may fly in that period. After that, once they go for roosting, they sleep. It's very difficult to you see them after that. So distribution. So mottled owl again. Mottled owl is seen throughout the year. As we discussed, right? It's in almost all the forests. You can see mottled owl. Anantagiri forest. Manjira is another one place where you see them. Ahmedabad is one place. Kawal Zoo in Hyderabad Zoo also usually you see them. BHL is one region. BHL community region. There are records of mottled owl. Bejur, Tarwai regions also you can see them. They have very vocal calls and easy to identify their calls. They have is very spooky call and you can say. It's one of the easiest way to identify them is through calls. I'll play the call. Probably you'll understand what I'm saying. It's a very spooky, shivering kind of sound. Ooh-ah. So this is actually a song of mottled owl. Song and call are actually two different things. Song is when during breeding season they sing to attract other ones, whereas the call is when they wanted to communicate with each other. So I'll play the call of mottled owl. This is the call. So if you observe, there are two owls in this. They are communicating with each other. One bird is calling ooh ooh. The other one is responding ooh 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 ooh. Okay. So that's how they communicate. Okay. So again, when you go to the right place, mottled owls actually they are vocal in the evening time. Probably I think in any of those. Let's say even Kawal region, there is a forest cases. In the forest case itself, you can hear these mottled owls calling a lot. Anantagiri forest is where you see them calling a lot. Manjira also at night. If somebody goes in the evening time, probably you'll hear these mother turtles calling each other. Next is scarp soles. We have two scarp soles. One is Indian scarp sole. The other one is Oriental scarp sole. So these two are again very cute, very small, cute scarp soles. Difficult bird probably to see them in Telangana region, but there are quite a few records of scarp soles. Scarp soles, as I said, right, they are very small, strictly nocturnal birds. These are actually only active at the night. They are not seen in the daytime. They have a very prominent ear tufts. If you see, right, they have very prominent ear tufts. Both scarp soles, Indian scarp sole and Oriental scarp soles, has very prominent ear tufts, and they have prominent, you can say, facial disc. Facial disc is prominent. Okay. These scarp soles have comes in slightly different morphs. Okay, scarp soles have rufous morph is there. You can say grayish morph is there. Grayish brown morph and rufous morph are the two different morphs. You see these scarp soles. Okay, so they are Indian scarp sole is actually dark-eyed scarp sole, whereas Oriental scarp sole is actually yellow colors. So that's the most. So Indian scarp sole and Oriental scarp sole looks a lot similar, but their eye color is one distinguishing feature between the two. So if you see a dark-eyed scarp sole, it is Indian scarp sole, whereas if you see an yellow-eyed, so this is Oriental scarp sole. Okay, you can see its eyes. Okay, it has yellow. So these are the two morphs which I'm talking about: grayish brown morph, and this is the rufous morph. These two are again photographed from Telangana region itself. Okay, so Indian scarp sole has dark eyes, prominent facial disc, and also their tarsus is feathers. Okay, what they hunt, scarp soles, they hunt on insects, mostly grasshoppers, beetles, even lizards, mice. Sometimes they eat other small birds also. I never seen, but it was recorded. It eats some other small birds. Okay, so lives in forest regions, also wooded regions. So mostly hides in the daytime. It hides in the thick foliage trees. You can say bamboo kind of a foliage trees. We usually they hide in the daytime. So it's very difficult to see them in the daytime. So unless you know its roosting place. So nighttime usually again their calls are actually distinct, very distinct. So we have very little breeding information about them. Probably they'll breed in the summer periods for our region. Okay. So yeah, these are scarp soles which are actually photographed in different parts of Telangana. So this is you can say Amrabad. For all these are actually from Amrabad forest. So but they can be seen in other forests also. But these photographs are from Amrabad forest. Some are from Umma Maheshwaram, some are from inside Saileswaram region. Okay. So their distribution again throughout the year you can see them. They are resident scarp soles. Amrabad, Kawal, Pakal, Khammam are the regions where they are actually seen. Amrabad is this is where Amrabad is. Khammam is this is somewhere here. And there is one record in Hyderabad, but usually it's a false record. Probably not sure from where it is. Actually from a city region. Maybe it is maybe a false record. But usually it prefers all the forest habitats, and also in the northern Adilabad region where you see them, Indian scarp sole. Again, call to see scarp sole, you should know the call, because even though it is very near to you and keeps calling, you cannot find it. That's so small. You should know its call to actually see it. Okay, so the call is very important to see any scarp sole. So this is Indian scarp sole. What? That's the call actually, and it calls in irregular intervals actually. Okay, next is Oriental scops owl. Actually, this is almost like a sibling of that bird. Wherever you see Indian scops owl, probably you might be seeing Oriental scops owl also. So its habitat is almost the same as Indian scops owl. Again, the completely nocturnal bird begins its activity in the dusk period. Roost during the daytime. Usually, you see them in small groups. Whenever you see them in small groups. Okay, hides in very dense foliage like bamboos and other stuff. If you see, all these are bamboo foliage. Inside bamboo foliage, this also becomes a part of one bamboo stick, you can say. They again have a prominent ear tufts. Their ear tufts are very prominent. Yellow-eyed scops owl, one thing, and they have very prominent facial disc. So what they hunt, again, they hunt insects, spiders, small rodents, and they usually perch on one nice perch, and they try to hunt these small insects and other stuff. Usually they breed in the summer period. February to May is the period. That's when they become highly vocal during that period. Okay, so these are, say, this is a rufous morphed Oriental scops owl, whereas this one you can say brown morphed, grayish brown morphed Oriental scops owl. Okay. Next is the distribution. Again, this bird is a resident bird. Even though some of the months it was not reported, it will be there in the same place throughout the year. You can see them. Okay. So again, the forest regions. All the forest region distribution is similar to Indian scops owl. Wherever there is Indian scops owl, you might be seeing this in Telangana. Amrabad, Bechur, Khammam are the regions where it was reported. Okay. And there is a report from Osmania University also of Oriental scops owl. Oriental scops owl, I think a couple of people who are working in Osmania University, they reported Oriental scops owl from Osmania University. Okay, so that's one bird. Probably you guys, if you are interested, probably you can scout the areas of Osmania University to see this bird. Okay, and again, distinct call, very easy to find, to register its call. It's like whoop, 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 whoop. So during dawn and dusk periods, actually it becomes very vocal. So morning 4 to 6 is the period, and also in the evening 6:37 to 9 o'clock, they are very vocal. So if you guys know Uma Maheshwaran temple, probably that's where you can actually hear this bird calling in the dawn and dusk period. So probably that's when you can go and listen to this bird calling in the dawn and dusk period. Okay. So next, one of my another favorite bird, Indian eagle owl. So why favorite? Because I struggle a lot to see its my first sighting. So that's why I remember this bird and why it is famous. I mean, why it became a favorite. Because I almost struggled for almost like 6 months to 1 year to see my first sighting. Once I saw this bird for the first time, probably I have seen in almost like 67 places in Hyderabad itself. So first sighting is always difficult for any owl. Once you see the bird, once you understand its habitat, you will find the same. I mean, you'll find this bird or any owl in different places. So it's easy. Okay. So, but you need to understand where exactly, where to search and everything. Once you know this, you can see this these owls actually. So, as the name suggests, rock eagle owl actually lives in rocky edges. Okay. So it prefers rocky hills, you can say earth bands, where the streams go and you see the bunds, right? In the bunds, the rocky sides, you'll see these owls sitting peaceful in the daytime. Okay, they never again. This as we said, a crepuscular owl, where usually it is active in the dawn and dusk periods, whereas in the daytime it usually sits by closing its ears. It has a very prominent ear tufts. It's almost like erecting this prominent ear tufts, which is there, very yellowish or orange eyes. You can see both. It comes in both yellowish and orange eyes, so you can see them. Heavily tasked, you can see heavily feathered tassels. You can see. Okay, so its scientific name is Bubu bengalensis. It is named after our Bengal region. Okay, so usually how it hunts? Usually it sits on a perch almost like an hour. If somebody been to Gachibowli movie towers region, you might be seeing in the evening time at night. Probably it will be sitting on one of the high perches, sitting for long periods, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. It'll just sit, looks for prey which is going, which is moving and down, and it's pounces on that. So that's how it hunts. Usually it hunts rats, mice, even small birds. Sometimes it has a record of eating the peafowls also. Eats reptiles, frogs, crabs, even the large insects. So usually roosts in the rock cavities in the daytime and hunts in the nighttime in the same place. So it breeds a couple of times. There are records between October to May. That's when usually you can see them breed 3 to 4. You can see chicks. Usually it nests on the rocky ledges itself. So on the rocky ledges, it will lay the eggs and it raises the chicks in that places. So this is how the habitat of Indian eagle will be there. Once it closes eyes, even though it is a very big owl, it's almost like 54 centimeters, even though it's a very large owl, when it closes its owl eyes, it's very difficult to see this owl because it has excellent camouflage techniques. So you can't see this big owl even in open places like this. That's how excellent camouflage techniques it has. Okay, so these are from different regions of Telangana. This is from Gachibowli itself. These two are from Gachibowli, and this is on a lake edge, you can say. Its distribution almost like all the rocky habitats, I can say, Aminpur, Gachibowli, Shamshabad, any suitable rocky habitats across Telangana, you can see. I think in Nizamabad, there are few records. Even recently, Kokatpalli has few records of this. So you can say any rocky habitats, if you are seeing, let's say abundant quarries, right? So abundant quarries are the best place to find rocky eagle or Indian eagle. So you usually see them. So its distribution is throughout India, except the Kashmir and other regions, whereas it is seen in almost entire India. It's called, I'll play the call. It's also a distinct call. You'll understand. Woohoo! Woohoo! Okay. So if you can see in the background, you can see an Indian nightjar calling. So usually, I mean, this is coincidence. Usually, Indian nightjars also prefer. They prefer various habitats, but they also be seen Indian nightjars in the rocky habitats. So that's the reason you are seeing Indian nightjar call also along with Indian eagle owl. Okay. Next owl is dusky eagle owl. I think this is last owl which was recorded for Telangana region. Recently seen 2018 is the period. That's when it was first reported from Telangana region, from Pakal region. So fortunately, I was one of the first guys along with Gopal Krishna here. We too has seen this owl from Pakal region. So why I am stressing a lot on the calls is because of this dusky eagle owl. Okay, so anytime if you are not sure about the calls, or if you haven't heard the calls, probably we might have ignored this bird as you can say brownfish owl. So brownfish owl has many records in Pakal region. So when we visited first time Pakal, we are early to Pakal region. We thought of reaching at 6 o'clock, but we reached by 5 o'clock. And the first bird which we have seen is this bird sitting on one of the trees. We used a torch to see what exactly is the bird. When we put the torch, it flew, and we thought it is a brownfish owl. So that's how, because brownfish owl is owl, it's prominent in Telangana region. We assume it is brownfish owl. It's how our mind works. But when it called, okay, we understood this is not brownfish owl. So that's why I'm saying, I'm stressing a lot. Calls are very, very important. Once you know the call, as I said, right, you see them very less, but their call is actually, each and every call till now I played, every call is distinct. You can easily identify an owl with its call. Maybe sometimes you may be confused with dusky eagle owl at night. If you see a dusky eagle owl and a brownfish owl, you may be confused, but a call is actually very distinct feature for all the owls. So I'll play the call later, but we'll understand what exactly is a dusky eagle owl. As I said, right, it was recently spotted in Telangana region, in Pakal region. That's the only place where it is, till now it is reported, but I am pretty sure it can be seen in other places in northern Telangana, probably Kawal, even Bejur are the suitable places. Only thing is, people need to explore that regions to see to see more of these dusky eagle owls. So well-wooded, well-watered region. Usually, it prefers it prefers forest regions near the water places. That's how Pakal is perfect thing. And also in the northern region, very famous Bharatpur is one very famous place for dusky eagle owl. Similar to any place which is similar to Pakal or Bharatpur is, you can see this well-wooded, well-watered region. That's where it prefers dusky eagle owl. It can be seen in, usually it hides daytime in large trees, okay? Not completely nocturnal, usually in the morning, as I said, right, it becomes active in the morning time until 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. After that, it goes to roosting. So usually it prefers a silent, undisturbed place, and it sits in that place. It's always seen in couples, actually. Usually that's one dusky eagle owls are seen mostly in couples. That's how we saw in Pakal. It's always in couples. It always sticks to its regions, so it never almost, it's true for all the owls, right? Once they decided a place, they stick to the place for life. Okay, they eat almost small mammals, birds, reptiles. The record of eating egret in Pakal itself. It eats frogs, fish, large insects, all birds it tries to eat. Okay, so when is the breeding season? November to April. Okay, November to April is the breeding season. Usually it breeds near large trees which are beside water. So it prefers those kind of places where it tries to breed. So when we visited in the February time. That is a breeding season. That's why they're very vocal. Okay, so during breeding season, I said they become very vocal. So maybe that could be one reason why we able to hear this bird during that period. Okay, and if you see, its facial disc is actually plain when compared with brownfish owl. If you see brownfish owl, so you can see streaks on the buckfish facial. These streaks are also there on the brownfish owl, whereas dusky eagle owl, it's actually, its face is actually completely, there are no streaks on the bird. Okay, these are different pictures of dusky eagle owl from Pakal region. So this is our first sighting. Two are sitting together at night, early morning time. That's when we saw these two. This is our first sighting in Pakal, February 2018. Okay. So till now, only place where it was reported is the Pakal. Okay, this is where it was reported, only in Pakal. It was reported is the resident large eagle owl. So it is there throughout the year. So some months it was not reported because that's when nobody has visited that place. That's the only difference. But it's a resident bird throughout the year. You can see that. Again, a call which actually very spooky. That's how we could be able to identify. This is another call. Like I said, right, all owl calls are distinct. Okay, once you know the call, it's easy to remember also. It's not as confusing as pipits and other birds where almost all the prenias and other stuff, they sound similar, whereas owls, they have very distinct calls. So easy to remember also. Next is our largest owl in Telangana region, spot-bellied eagle owl. So spot-bellied eagle owl, you can say forest eagle owl. It prefers dense forest, usually seen in the dense forest. Its scientific name is Bubo nepalis. It's named after a Nepal region in those former times. So a very large owl with a dark eyes. It's completely dark eyes. So you can say the face is actually slightly whitish when compared with other body. It has a pale bill and very large barred ear tufts when compared to you can say ear tufts are actually very prominent. It has large, powerful talons. I think one of the most powerful eagle owls in India. Actually, you can say it. There are records of it's eating some martins and mammals and everything. So one of the most powerful predator, very feared predator also. I think in Sri Lanka it is there is what do you say myths about this one. They fear this bird a lot. They never hear the call of this bird. Okay, they feel that death will come if they hear the call. That's kind of effect this bird has on the humans also. So completely nocturnal, roosts in the during daytime, avoids almost human presence, always hides in the dense foliage. A bold hunter, as we discussed, right? It hunts boldly. It eats pigeons. It eats large birds, peafowls, jungle fowl, lizards, snakes, fish. It has a record of killing jackals, also hares, barking deers. All that is part of its meal actually. Breeding season for our Telangana region, we don't have any specific breeding season, but for Kerala, it is December to January is the breeding season for us. For Kerala region, probably it might be the same for us also. Somebody has to study a lot on this bird, even though there are recent records from Amrabad region, but study on this bird is pretty less when compared with other birds. We have very less information when it comes to Telangana region. Of course, it is studied a lot in southern states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu and other places, but for our Telangana region, it is not that well studied. Okay, it defends its young very aggressive during the nesting period. So these are spot-bellied eagle owl sightings in the Amrabad region from Umameshwaram temple. Once this was the first record from Amrabad region. I think in the year 2016 or 17, I think Ashish Jha from CCMB has first seen it. As he's doing a research on yellow-throated bulbul, he accidentally saw this bird during daytime. From that period, I think it was seen 26 times. I think more than 26 times. It was 26 times last year. Probably it might have seen 40 to 50 times in and around, in mostly around Amrabad region. So its population is pretty good inside the forest. Now it's in the Maheshwaram region where it was initially spotted. It is slightly moved inside because of various construction work what is happening in the temple region. It moved inside. Now to see it, you have to go inside the forest, Amravati forest. Then probably their population is actually steady when it comes to. Apart from Amravati, it was seen in Khammam region once, and here once in Pakal region. Okay, so it was not photographed in Pakal region, but it was here in Pakal region. But it was photographed from Khammam and also from Amravati region. Okay. So as I said, right, usually it is seen in Amravati, Pakal and Khammam. Dense forest, Amravati is the best place to see this. Rest all probably it's very difficult to see this bird. Okay, and it's call again. It's they call it as a devil bird, right? So why it is called devil bird is because it's called. So if you hear that, it is like mournful scream actually. Somebody, a lady died, kind of a song, who is making calls. That's a call of spot-bellied eagle. A distinct call again. Once it calls, it's easy to identify this bird. Distribution throughout the year, it is a resident bird for our region, so you can see it throughout the region. Next is brown hawk owl. Brown hawk owl is a medium-sized hawk owl. So it prefers both the forest well-wooded, also in around human habitat. Also, you will see this bird mostly around. Let's say that Manjira is one place. Almost all places, even in it was recorded in most of the urban habitats. Also, it was seen from CCMB. It was seen in Osmania University. It was seen from Amravati region. It was seen from Manjira. So also maybe in other places also. It was reported from Forest Academy also. So a very cute owl. Actually, I can say it has a very heart symbols on its body. A very cute owl, and usually it roosts in pairs usually. So in the daytime, crepuscular, even though it's active in the early morning time, usually hides in the daytime. So usually hides in secluded places in a shady branches, you can say. Okay, so what it eats, it usually eats large insects, beetles, grasshoppers, frogs, lizards, mice, even the crabs, those kind of things. Breeding season again, not for our region. It is not properly studied. Probably it's during the winter season. That's one I can say. North India, it is actually May to July. Probably, for us, maybe we are not sure when is the actual breeding season for this brown hawk owl. So these are different places where it was recorded. Most of these sightings are from Manjira and Amravati, and also Osmania University. Osmania University, there are a couple which are actually residents in that region. So, like I mentioned, right, Manjira, Amravati, Universities of Hyderabad, it is seen. So even though the distribution map says it was not spotted, but there are recent records of in the May, June, July, August, September. In September month, recently also it was actually very vocal in Amravati region. So it's resident throughout the year. There is chances, but very difficult. Not like other owls. It's slightly rare, you can say, for our region, Telangana. So it has a distinct call. Let's hear the call of brown hawk owl. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Again, a very active, caller during the dawn and dusk periods. So you hear them a lot during dawn and dusk periods in the forest. Be there in Umama Ishtam somewhere in the dawn and dusk period, you'll hear them for sure. Seeing them is slightly difficult, but you'll definitely will hear Brahma call during this period. And again, some of the times it's not here, but September month is when it was highly vocal. Almost recorded the call every time we go there. These are till now we discussed about 11 resident birds, resident owls till now. This short-eared owl is a migratory bird. Usually comes to Telangana region in the month of November and stays till March to April. That's when it will be. Its habitat is distinct. It always prefers the grasslands, open grasslands, open plots. That's where it roosts actually. It also roosts in mango trees and neem trees. That's how in Usman Sagar, that's where usually in Usman Sagar there is a place where every year it comes and roosts in that place. Since last 5 years, it was recorded every year. It roosts in mango and neem trees, whereas in other places usually it roosts on the grasslands. So it sits on the grasslands most of the time and roosts in the place. So I think Rolapadu is one place, Singur is one place where it was actually reported. Okay, so what exactly? Usually in the daytime, it completely nocturnal. I can say daytime it is usually silent. Nighttime it becomes active before sunset. It starts flying at around 5 o'clock. It hunts all those whatever is available in the grassland, mostly grasshoppers and other stuff. If they are there, they actually roost in communally. Let's say 5 to 6, you'll see them together. That's how they. I mean, for us, for our region, the population is least, whereas in northern states, you see them in good numbers. The short-eared owls. Okay, so these are all from different places, and I think this is Usman Sagar. This is where, as we're saying, right, it is roosting in a neem tree. So, and this is how its habitat will be in the grassland. It will be sitting like that. Okay. Where it was seen till now in Telangana, it is from Usman Sagar Lake and Singur Dam. That is where it is reported. It doesn't mean that it is not there everywhere. Wherever a suitable place which is secluded like a grassland, or you can say grassy habitat, you will definitely see this short-eared owl. Only thing is more people needs to explore different regions. Okay. So these 12 owls are actually seen owls still now in Telangana region, whereas the next owl is the brownwood owl, which was never reported till now in Telangana, but there is a strong possibility of seeing it. So, probably in Khammam region or Amrabad, probably you may see it. It is almost similar to Matadud owl, but you can see it's a brown. It's wood brown. I mean, the color is mostly brown. So not reported till now in Telangana region. But its behavior is almost similar to Matadud owl. Okay, like very shy bird when compared with Matadud, it's more shy and usually prefers forest regions. Completely avoids human habitations. Okay. Roost and silent flyer, even though it's for its size, usually when it flies, it's actually very silent. So probably one sighting, it's from Andhra. It was reported from Maredmalli region. Maredmalli region is is from part of Andhra. So the district, I mean, this Maredmalli is very close to Telangana. Probably the Khammam is where one place. Probably you may see it. So probably we have to keep an eye and understand its call. So that when you get a chance, probably you might be the first person to report brownwood owl. Brownwood owl call, it's again a distinct call. You can easily identify the brownwood owl with its call. That's a call. yeah. Again, this is another eastern grass owl. Probably it's not never reported in Telangana. It's seen in Rollapadu. I'm not sure whether there is any photographic evidence, but it was reported from Rollapadu. It prefers eastern grass owl. It looks like similar to barn owl, but its habitat is completely different when compared with the barn owl. Barn owl, as we said, right, it can be seen in almost every habitat, whereas eastern grass owl always prefers tall grasslands. Its behavior is completely different, though it looks similar to barn owl. It roosts and also breeds in the grass habitat. So it actually lays eggs on the ground. So if somebody finds it, it will be a wonderful find for Telangana region. So even though it looks like similar to barn owl, it's completely behavior-wise, habitat-wise, the way it behaves, the color-wise. Barn owl is more whitish, whereas this guy is actually slightly rufous in color, the face, and also its face is actually bigger than barn owl. Okay. So, I mean, just wanted to touch, even though they are not reported from Telangana region, but there is a good chance of we may be seeing these two owls in recent, maybe soon, based on the activity. So these are differentiation between barn owl and grass owl. You can see this is a grass owl, bigger in face, the heart shape is bigger. This is a barn owl, and you can see the face, the height-wise, size-wise, everything. Eastern grass owl is, and also the habitat. You will not see a eastern grass owl in cities or in urban areas or in forest areas. You should, if you want to find a eastern grass owl, it has to be grassland habitats where you need to look for them, or probably a tall, you can say village side, you can say tall places where the grass is there. So it's a distribution. Mostly it is in northeast where it was reported most of the time. So, and owls superstitions. Why? See, we discussed about owls, but apart from, even though they're wonderful birds, right? There are a lot of superstitions associated with owls. Some think that it is a vehicle of goddess. Some use owls for witchcraft. Some people, even though owls are protected under the Wildlife Protection Act, so they're actually, sacrificed a lot during Dasara period and also the Diwali period. So it's important to protect these owls, because also remember, if you have seen an owl, you can never disclose the location of these owls to fellow birders or to any person. Why? Because, as I said, right, all these owls, once they select a roosting place, they stick to the roosting place for years. They never leave the roosting place, and it's easy for, let's say, those black marketers to easily catch them, because they know. So there are some recent records of, let's say, these guys, they join these bird walks to see for owls. And once they know the location of owls, they come back later to find those owls, and they catch it. They use it for witchcraft and other stuff. Sometimes they kill these owls, thinking that Goddess Lakshmi will not leave their house. Okay, so those kind of myths are associated with that. One sincere request is not to disclose the location of owls to anybody, even though to your fellow birders, to the persons you don't know actually. So always keep the location of owls as a secret for sure. If you want to report, probably you should report it in such a way that it is not shown to the general public. So let's say eBird is a general platform where you can report it. Make these owl sightings as a hidden, so that only the editors of that editors of the eBird can only see, not the general public. Okay. So some of the owl ethics of owl watching, even though I mentioned, right, the owl calls a lot. Also, it responds to calls a lot. So never use owl calls during daytime, because you are actually disturbing their sleep in the daytime. Let's say that if you play a call during the daytime, it is like somebody is disturbing their sleep actually. As we discussed, right, they are nocturnal birds of prey. So obviously, they have a right to sleep in the daytime. So don't visit, if once you know roosting place, never visit the place frequently. Also, never share that location with your friends, because once a roosting place, I mean, the frequency of visits increase to the roosting place, owl will change its place. That's how it is. Okay. And also, always, as I said, right, keep the our location secret, always refrain, don't tell the location to your friends. Okay. So some of the references, if you want to learn more about these owls, probably these are some of the references you can hear, you can see them, and you can ping me anytime to get more information. I didn't share my, but you can ping me anytime. Probably Srinivas sir will share my contact details with you guys. And we are part of Hyderabad Birding Pearls. We have an NGO where we encourage people to start bird watching as a hobby. This is a very wonderful hobby. I started 5 years back, and after that, no looking back for me. So actually, I do extensive birding, almost like it became an addiction, a sweet addiction for me. So I encourage you guys to pick up this bird watching or photography as a hobby. It's good to have a good hobby. Actually, that's how I wanted to conclude. Yeah, thank you. Any questions you can ask me.
Thank you very much, Sriram, for a wonderful journey through the world of owls that we have within Telangana, known from Telangana. Yes, now the session is open for question answers. If you have any doubts or any questions pertaining to owls, owl identification, or anything, you can ask. Although Mr. Sriram has very clearly mentioned about different aspects of identification and all. I was just going through some of the responses that I have got through the feedback form, and yeah, they have all mentioned about why it is good to understand about owls, or what is its ecological role. One of you have mentioned that it's good for keeping the prey population down.
Yeah, actually, you can say owls, barn owls especially. So they are actually farmer friendly, you can say. So they reduce a lot of rodent population in villages. That's where actually you see them. Okay, whenever you travel during harvesting period, where rodents are more, you see barn owls a lot. If you are not seeing barn owls, it means that the rodent population is not there. Either the rodents are killed by forest, by farmers. If the population of rodents are there, barn owls are almost there.
Yeah, barn owls, as well as we have also seen that barn owls feeding on rodents and shrews too. Although shrews are not impacting farmers as such, but we see that the barn owls, wherever rodent population has gone down, they switch on to shrews, and so you see a kind of cyclic change in the feeding behavior and all those things. Yeah, that's a good thing. And Miss Jyoti was asking, in case the owl is sleeping, its eyes are closed and it would not be making calls. So how do you identify owls during the daytime at the roost that all you accidentally came across?
Yeah, I think I answered a couple of things. It's like a Sherlock Holmes movie only. Okay, you need to look for clues. Okay, so you have to look for clues. As I said, right, you have to look for shit marks. Whitewash is one excellent. You can say always look for shit marks in places where there is a possibility of seeing. Let's say in eagle owl, right? Eagle owl always resides. We discussed it's a rocky habitat. So first thing what you need to do was look for in a rocky habitats using your binoculars. See where are the shit marks, where are the whitewash areas where it is there. When you see a mark, slightly go to the upper region of that shit marks. Probably you see an owl closing its eyes. That's one way of seeing it. And in the forest, probably in the last trees, you should look for pellets. Okay, pellets is usually, I said, right, all these owls, they after eating, they have, I think one more feature of owls is they have very weak stomach, so they can't digest everything. So they make I mean, once they eat the prey, they actually throw the remainings of the hair and bones as the pellets. So you have to look for those kind of two things. And also, when the owl flies, you'll never notice when an owl flies. You have to look for other small birds in the forest. If you hear owls making a lot of, I mean, the small birds making calls, that's also one of the, you can say, a clue to find the owls. But it's very difficult, Jyoti, to see owls in the daytime. That's a challenge for everybody. Not only for you, everybody is a
Yeah, I know what Srirab was talking about with respect to, looking for the indirect evidence. Most of the time, biologists, people like us, we had been relying on all these kind of, indirect evidence to find out the presence of owls in any given region. And yeah, interestingly, many students can, take up this kind of project wherein they can locate the pellets, regurgitated pellets beneath the owl roosting areas. Do not disturb the owls. You can collect the pellets because, as Sriram said, that owls have the behavior of regurgitating the undigested material after they have taken their food, and that forms a wonderful basis for identifying the small mammals, both volant and non-volant mammals, as well as small birds that are present in the given area. In fact, as I was just listening to the Sriram's presentation, I happened to recollect the work that we have done long back, almost a decade back, in Rolapadu Wildlife Sanctuary, wherein we have reported the presence of short-eared owl Aesioflamius and its diet. And in fact, the diet was based on the pellet that we have collected over a period of time, and then analysis that we have done. Also, Tyto alba, and you have this ACO otis. What's that? Not ACO otis. What's that? Yeah, Tyto alba, barn owl. Yeah, barn owl. We have collected lots of pellets in the suburban areas, and we have seen that how the seasonal variation happens in their feeding behavior. Wonderful studies can be done without disturbing owls and all such kind of things. So yeah, so I'll just take up one. There is one suggestion. Many of the participants are appreciating the wonderful presentation, Sriram. And are there any awareness programs in rural and urban areas to avoid people from hunting owls? Aman Yadav, I would just say that, it becomes our responsibility as people who are aware of these kind of things to create more awareness. So there are NGOs that are doing this, of course, HBP, and we have Deccan Birders, and we have people like us who go to different places and create awareness. We don't have to have NGOs, or if you are aware of certain things, you can go to certain locations. You make it a hobby that you can speak once in a fortnight in given village. Talk to them about importance of nature, importance of all the biodiversity around us, with special focus. If at all you found out that they are killing some, say, snakes, or killing owls, or killing other birds, or practicing what you say, pesticide based agriculture and all such kind of things, you as an individual who is aware of all those things, you can take up these activities by yourself to create awareness amongst the common public. So it is our responsibility, I would say. I would like to put it in that way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
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 So
You
mostly, mostly it is lack of awareness is what, and the myths associated. Okay, even I was saying, right, even the educated people, even the police, let's say, the guards who are there in the forest, they too fear some of the owls. So it has to start whenever you find let's say when you discuss, right, when we interact with local people, when we ask about, let's say, one of the incidents, spot bellied eagle owl, so we try to ask locals whether they have seen it or not. They have seen it, and they come up with their own versions, their own stories, which actually are very funny and also sometimes weird. So at that's the time probably you have to tell them, because we actually visit once or twice, or we don't spend most of the time in the field. But these are the local people. If they have awareness, and once they get an awareness about owls, right, that's where we can actually protect. Even I hear that there are still markets in Hyderabad where they sell these owls for sacrifice and different various purposes. So that's when people buy for those owls and use it, then the market will still be there. So once people are educated, even in one of the incidents in Aminpur, when I asked one of the locals about Indian eagle owl, that guy is ready to sell, saying that I'll sell you this bird for 30,000 rupees. That's how it is. So that has to happen. I mean, awareness at the ground level is what matters to protect these owls.
Yeah, in fact, I would request all the participants you are participating for a reason, that you are passionate about wildlife and all those things. Take this passion step forward and start a mission, and be a mission by yourself. You can be the awareness creating organization by yourself. You don't need people to come with you. You start as an individual. It was just day before yesterday when we celebrated Gandhi Jayanti. Be the change you want to see in the society. Okay, you be the one who starts the speaking about creating awareness and all such kind of things, and maybe things will fall in place as you spend more and more time in field. Yep. So if there are, the Sriram is sharing his email ID. You can get in touch with Sriram.
Email ID probably, if somebody wants to contact me, they can contact on this.
Yes, Sriram. So if there are no more questions, then I would like to close the session right here, and would like Dr. Harpreet Kaur to present the formal vote of thanks to today's speaker, Mr. Sriram Reddy. Sriram Reddy, before I sign off, I thank you very much for accepting the invitation on my behalf and on behalf of the Center for Biodiversity and Conservation Studies, Osmania University. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Srinivaslu, for giving me this opportunity. Actually, it's wonderful talking. Actually, it's.
Thank you so much, sir. Sriram, I have to admit that it was as informative as it could get. There were so many things that were new for me, and I could relate the thing to the thing that since they are nocturnal, and since we work on bats, and I think it's the same thing that people don't really care about creatures that we don't see pretty often in front of our eyes, and same goes for owls as well. It was really, really informative, very comprehensive, and as detailed as it could get. I thank you for being here today on the behalf of conservation, on the behalf of Center for Biodiversity and Conservation Studies. I thank you, and I also thank Osmania University for encouraging for such informative talks and sessions and activities. Thank you very much, Sriram, for being here today. I hope, I think everybody can actually identify owls from, they might have taken a lot from the presentation. Thank you so much, Sriram.
Yeah, thank you, Harpreet. It's wonderful, actually. Thank you for giving me this opportunity also.
It was great. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, so we close the session. Yeah, and you can contact Sriram through his email ID that he has shared in the chat box, and we'll see you all tomorrow at 2:30. Yeah. So we would close the session now. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.